Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hey guys, welcome to the cult. I do apologize for being a couple minutes late. Those of you who know me know that Mondays are my absolute craziest day. I am basically back to back to back to back to back all day long. And essentially my meeting that was supposed to end at 4 o'clock didn't end until 4:30. And then I had to get my butt in gear to get everything set up for the stream. But we made it. We're here. And I do appreciate you guys being patient with me. Guys, please mount that like button for me. I want to see everyone mounting that like button, because when you mount that like button, you tell YouTube to serve my live stream up to more people. And the reality is that I don't think that YouTube has actually sent out notifications for this live stream based on the low number of viewers that I have, because it is disproportionately low with what it usually is. So we're just going to sit here very patiently until everyone mounts that like button for me. How about that? I'm going to put on my my teacher waiting cap on. I can see how many of you are watching right now, and I can see how many like buttons have been mounted. Let's come on. Got to tell YouTube to serve the video out, guys. This is how it works. This is, if you can't mount a like button, then why the fuck am I working for you? Why am I doing this for free if we cannot even mount? Keep going. There we go. There we go. I knew we would get there. All right, you guys can keep mounting, but now I am sufficiently satisfied in the number of mounts directly proportional to the number of viewers, and I do appreciate it, guys. Welcome to the cult. This is a show where I cover all aspects of the culture war, which essentially means whatever I'm interested in on any given day of the week. And we have a little bit more of a libertarian leaning episode today. For those who are not libertarians, it's okay. You can still be here. I'm actually going to take libertarians to task on the episode today, because I am really, really aggravated at what I am seeing out of people who call themselves libertarians. Now, here's the deal, guys. I was a Democrat for 20 years. I left the Democratic Party in early 2021 because I went to a Trump rally, realized how much the media had lied to me about who Trump supporters were, got really pissed off at the left. And so I left the Democratic Party and started hanging around the MAGA movement. And then at the end of 2020, and especially after January 6th, I found out that the conservatives were just as big a hypocrites as the left, and I had started connecting with libertarians in my home state of New Hampshire, which is the libertarian homeland. For those of you who don't know, New Hampshire is the home of the Free State Project, which is this effort to get libertarians to move to New Hampshire so that we can attain critical mass and gain political power. And there is actually a really large chunk of state reps in Concord, which is our state capital, that are actually libertarian. They might be registered as Republicans, some are even registered as Democrats, but really they're free staters. They're libertarians. They register in one of the two major parties as a disguise. And I started connecting with people in the Free State Project, and I started learning more about libertarian culture. And then I was part of the Mises Caucus takeover of the Libertarian Party, and I've documented that on my channel. And I do consider myself to be a libertarian. Nothing will ever change that. I am still in the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, even though I have strong disagreements with some of the people running the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire Twitter account. Extremely strong disagreements. I don't think they're libertarians. I think they're conservatives. I am still in the Libertarian National Party, even though everyone in the state of New Hampshire got kicked out of the Mises Caucus. I'll talk just briefly on that. So I'm not a member of the Mises Caucus anymore. Why? Because after supporting them for 2 years, they summarily kicked out everyone in New Hampshire for no good reason. And so I'm not a part of that anymore for reasons past my understanding, but that's their business. And I almost feel a little bit glad about that, because today I have to say that I have watched the Mises Caucus libertarians go full conservative retard. And I apologize if that language offends anyone. I don't mean it as offensive to people with Down syndrome or anything. I actually think people with Down syndrome are much smarter and much more put together and are much more appealing to me right now than what I'm seeing out of Mises Caucus libertarians on Twitter, who I think are showing their true colors as actually being conservative authoritarians who just want to control people that they disagree with. And that makes me sad. It really does. Because it's unnecessary. And it's like, I thought that, silly me, I thought that we were working together to actually create a libertarian party that like would advance libertarianism, which is basically leave each other alone. Don't hurt people. Don't take people's stuff. Like, you are not allowed to infringe on the rights or the speech or the bodies or the labor or the property of anyone, essentially. To each their own. If you disagree with someone, don't interact with them. Like, it's really like libertarianism at its core is like really very, very simple. It's called mind your own effing business. And if you don't want to be involved with what someone else is doing, guess what? You don't have to be involved with what someone else is doing. But just because you don't like what someone else is doing does not mean that you have the right to try to control that person. It just makes no sense to me. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about 3 core topics. Let me just give you the overview. Well, first, Maj Toure got himself banned on Twitter. Now, I like Maj Toure. I really do. I was ambivalent about Maj Toure for like a pretty long time period, but I have actually come around to deeply respect Maj Toure. I don't agree with this take, but I deeply respect Maj Toure because he gets shit done. He actually does stuff in the real world. I find him to be incredibly focused. I love what he's doing with Black Guns Matter. I love that he called Matt Walsh out for being a blatant racist. And I'm really sad that he tweeted this and then got himself banned on Twitter. And so I'm going to talk about that. I don't agree with this tweet. I don't think Maj should have gotten banned for it, but I understand why he did. And I think that this was a completely unforced error. And I'm going to talk about that. Then we're going to look at, and he responded too on the Black Guns Matter account. So we'll read that. Then we're going to look at this tweet and the response to this tweet from Bonnie Freeman. Bonnie is a New Hampshire libertarian. She's part of the Free State Project. And Bonnie is hosting, apparently, kid-friendly drag shows at Porcfest. Now, for those who don't know, Porcfest is a libertarian festival. It is a pop-up anarchist village that happens in New Hampshire every single year. It is on a giant campground. In fact, what I really should do right now is I should pull up a map of Porcfest just so you guys can really get the sense of it. Hang on one second. Let me just pull this up real quick. We'll look at this in a second. Sorry, I didn't have this ready to go, but I just thought of it. So Porcfest is on a really large campground in northern New Hampshire. I will be at Porcfest because I will actually have my own. Well, I'm going to stay at the campsite all week. I'm in the motel, but I will also have my own exhibit, my own campsite where I'm going to be selling my Unwoke art merch at Porcfest, and it's just generally a great time. It's a really big festival. You can go to things that interest you. You don't have to go to anything that doesn't interest you. There we go. Now I've had that up to show you guys later. And people host events. And Porcfest is a decentralized event. What that means is that you get your own campsite and you can do whatever you want on that campsite. You can host podcasts, you can have get-togethers, you can have knitting events, you can have craft parties, you can have, cocktail hour. You can literally do whatever you want because at Porcfest, there are no police and there are no rules because it is a pop-up anarchist village. Okay? So you can do whatever the F you want on your campsite. Now, Bonnie has taken particular issue with libertarians being against adults transitioning or adults doing drag. And Bonnie's contention is that if parents want to bring their kids to a drag show that's private, that's not funded by the state, a private event, then parents should be allowed to bring their kids because Bonnie is an anarchist and doesn't think the government should exist. So what this is Bonnie trolling who she doesn't believe are actual libertarians to make them show their true colors. And well, I have to give Bonnie credit. Bonnie has done the trick. Bonnie has effectively revealed for us who are actual libertarians and who are conservatives pretending to be libertarians, but who actually want to control people's bodies. So we're going to talk about that. And I will explain more about that when we get there. And then, you guys know I've been reporting on the turmoil at Gays Against Groomers for a while. It started with this article that I posted back in March. Monday Morning Massacre, Gays Against Groomers founder Jamie Mitchell becomes unhinged and retaliates against whistleblowers. That was a bear of an article. I followed it up with a couple more articles to include a complete recounting of Jamie Mitchell going on a 3-day Twitter bender to smear me after I reported on multiple whistleblowers leaving her organization because of her toxic behavior. And then, of course, last week, I reported on yet another person leaving Gays Against Groomers, and his name is Marky. Marky is going, a little ballistic on Twitter. He's dropping a lot of bombs about the toxicity and the inner workings of Gays Against Groomers. I'm just sitting back and eating my popcorn, and I'm enjoying every second of this. But I've got something even better for us today. Are you guys ready for it? Now, the funny part is that in the last couple of months, since I think like January at least, in the last like several months, probably close to 20 people have left Gays Against Groomers. Because, first of all, none of them are paid, it's all volunteer. So, why would they really stay? Because they're being treated like dirt by Jamie Mitchell, who is the organization's CEO. And from what I've heard, Gays Against Groomers actually has less members now than it did than the members who have left it. So what I've heard is they have round about 16 people, 16 members of Gays Against Groomers right now, whereas it's approaching like 20 people, the amount of people that have left recently of Gays Against Groomers. So that's a pretty significant loss. One might think that Jamie would be real. One might think that if you're still hanging around Gays Against Groomers right now, you would be exceptionally loyal. Except that there are people at Gays Against Groomers that are still members of Gays Against Groomers that are so pissed off at Jamie Mitchell that they're leaking Gays Against Groomers internal staff meetings. And wouldn't you know it, I happened to get my hands on a video of an internal Gays Against Groomers all hands meeting that occurred just the other day. I'm not going to say where I got this video, but I am going to say that you're going to hear the date in the this is from like 2 days ago. And now I have it. Surprise, Jamie. And so it's only about 8 minutes long. I only got a little bit of it. That's not to say there's not more. This is just the part that I have for right now, Jamie. And so I thought that we would watch a little bit of a Gays Against Groomers internal staff meeting that was leaked by a current Gays Against Groomers member who is pretending to support Jamie while actually leaking internal documentation out to the world. How does that sound, guys? Does that sound like a nice little dessert? Does that sound like a nice little chaser? Why don't some people tweet at Jamie and Gays Against Groomers right now and just let them know that we're going to be watching their staff meeting. It's going to be great. I'm sure Jamie will be thrilled about this. Do I bring you guys the goods or what? I mean, come on. Come on. Naruto says, yesterday afternoon when I watched the Steven Crowder part 7 video, when he ended the video without telling us what kind of narcissist he is, I knew you'd hate it and read. I am so mad at HG Tutor for HG Tutor is continuing to string us along by not telling us what type of narcissist he thinks Steven Crowder is. He has formally diagnosed him as a narcissist, which again, I'm not sure I agree with HG Tutor's assessment on this because I think that HG Tutor is not accurately interpreting some things that happen through no fault of his own, obviously, because he's always right at everything. I just think that there is information missing from his analysis that could have better informed it. That's all. And so I'm not sure I actually agree with his assessment, but he is the world famous narcissism expert. So, we have to give it some credence. But what HG Tutor has not told us is what kind of narcissist he thinks Steven Crowder is. And he still has not released the video saying it. So hopefully we'll get that tomorrow. If we get it tomorrow, we'll watch it newer too. But yeah, the struggle is real on that one. What is Jamie's Twitter? I think it's The Gay Who Strayed. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, let her know, Yasmin. Let her know we're watching her staff meeting. Yes, Jame Ree. Jame Ree is her proper name on Twitter because even though Jamie wants to be the most professional CEO, and even though Jamie says that she doesn't want to engage in drama, Jamie did go on a 3-day Twitter bender smearing me because I reported on her organization, which I documented entirely on my Substack for people to see. People can see just how how little drama Jamie wants to engage in. But guys, those are the stories we're going to talk about today. And as always, please make sure you are subscribed to my main Substack, which is carlin.substack.com. I was a little quiet last week in terms of writing because I was really trying to get more video production ramped up, and I think I've got like a system for that. And I was really focusing on essentially breaking the YouTube algorithm so that my videos would actually show up again. And I think I've gotten some ideas about how to do that. And oh, look, we have a conservative that's probably going to pretend to be a libertarian. The idea that there would be zero societal standards when it comes to the protection of minors in a stateless society is ridiculous. Honey, who do you expect to enforce the standards when there is no state? It's not a fundamental right to expose children to sexual material. Focus on your own fucking children. Why do you have the right to tell other people how to parent their children? Jesus Christ. I swear to God. I swear. Oh, so who's going to enforce what the community leaders want? Like, that kind of sounds like a government to me. That kind of sounds like a state. It kind of sounds like you're insinuating that these people would have some official state power in an anarchist society. Do you even hear yourself? Guys, it's real simple. If you don't want your kids to go to a drag show, don't take them to the drag show. Most kids are exposed to R-rated movies. Anyone pretending, oh, it's gonna be this type of day. I can already see what type of day this is gonna be. This is gonna be where conservative authoritarians show themselves in my chat, and I slap them down like the little whiny bitchy snowflakes they are to expose just how authoritarian they are. Bro, if you think that most people wait until they're 18 before they see an R-rated movie, that's about the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Most people watch an R-rated movie before they're 18. They really do. And most people are perfectly fine. Guess what? There was a time when teenage boys would hide Playboys under their bed. Does anyone remember that time? Or you go to the sex section at the library and the books are there, and guess what? The sex section at the library doesn't have a fucking rope around it to prevent kids from opening the books and seeing them. This stuff has been going on for years and years and years. Basically, the entire time that humanity has existed, people who are under 18 have been exposed to sexual material. And guess what? Most people have survived. Most people have turned out just fine. In fact, conservatives, there were times when people got married and had children before they were 18. And in American history, most of those times, those people were conservatives. God, the absolute lack of self-awareness among conservatives, I swear to God, it is just absolutely retarded. Spud, I don't need to see you here anymore. Goodbye. Goodbye. I am not arguing with conservatives today. But guys, let's just jump into it because that seems to be where this is going anyway. And conservatives can have all the fee-fees they want. I don't really care. Because I'm not one of you conservatives. I'm not an authoritarian. I don't believe that it is my place to judge what other people do with their body. It is only my place to be concerned about what I'm doing to my body. And if I had kids, what they are doing to their body. That's my place. The non-aggression principle says don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. It does not say thee will not be exposed to a drag show that thee does not have to attend. I just don't know how this is so difficult. But Maj Toure had this take on Twitter. And again, I have a great deal of respect for Maj. A lot of respect, like more respect than I have for most people. I didn't agree with this take. So I just didn't comment on it because conservatives, when you don't agree with something, you don't always actually have to comment on it. When Maj Toure tweeted this out the other day, he said, "If you do a drag queen story hour for children in my community, I'm going to pull up and assault you. I'll be arrested. By the time I bail out and you reschedule another one, I'll pull up again, smack the fuck out of you once more because I don't give a fuck." I did not agree with Maj on this in any way, shape, or form. I think that this tweet was an open and deliberate violation of the non-aggression principle. Because again, the non-aggression principle just says, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. People are allowed to have a drag queen story hour. Now, you might not like that, but the fact of the matter is that living in a free society and pretending you care about liberty is about learning how to coexist with people that you disagree with. If you don't like that there is a drag queen, now I am not in favor of tax dollars supporting this. I am not in favor of drag queen story hour being in public schools, though that is a different question. But if you are a private organization and you are like renting out a room or something to host a drag queen story hour, and here is the key point, no one is compelled to go to it. If it was in public schools, then children would be compelled to go to it by force of the state, okay? But if we're talking about a private event that you don't have to go to, that you don't have to financially support, that you can be clear across on the other side of town and just ignoring, then that is their business. Maybe you want to protest the event. Fine. Protest outside the library or wherever they're having it. I don't care if you hold up signs and say, this is stupid, don't bring your kids to this. Fine. But guess what, guys? Parents are allowed to parent their children in the way that they see fit. And if there are probably more lefty parents that want to bring their children to drag queen story hour to listen to a drag queen read a story in full drag queen garb, that is their business. No one is forcing anyone to go. No one is forcing anyone to bring their kids. No one is taking attendance. It is a private event. Private events happen all the time. And if you want the ability to have your private event, then you have to respect the ability of people who you disagree with to have their private event. And just ignore them. That's how the world is supposed to work. And if you are unwilling to do that, and you say, if you hold your private event that no one is compelled to go to, no one is compelled to bring their kids to, if you do that, I'm going to show up and assault you. I'm sorry. And I have a great deal of respect for Maj Toure. This was a violation of the non-aggression principle. However, I didn't wade into this. I didn't comment either way on it when it came out because I'm an adult and I was like, I don't want any part of that shit show. And so I just didn't comment on it at all either way. And sadly, this tweet ended up getting Maj Toure permanently banned on Twitter. If a public library rents out rooms to organizations, that public library can't discriminate on who they are renting rooms out to. You are not allowed to dictate who in the public gets to rent out the rooms at the library. If you don't like it, don't go to the event. But don't complain when you start forcing the library to turn groups away if that library then turns around and censors you. This is what conservatives just do not understand. If you are advocating for censorship of groups that you disagree with, then that censorship is going to be applied to you. And you will have no basis at all to scream, censorship, censorship. They hate us because of our political beliefs. Censorship, censorship. If you are the ones advocating for censorship in the effing first place. If you don't want your ideas to be censored, if you don't want your events to be canceled, then stay the F out of it when groups you disagree with are holding events that you do not like. You don't have to go. No one is required to go to an event at a public library. And if parents want to make decisions that are going to screw up their kids, there are probably a lot worse things they can do than go listen to a drag queen read a children's book. I just don't know how this is so hard to understand. Justin O'Donnell says there are no less than 4 family-friendly drag events scheduled at Maj's local library in the next 2 weeks. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, Maj Toure got banned on Twitter, and he tweeted out from the Black Guns Matter account, which I encourage everyone to follow. Again, I am extremely supportive of Maj's work. Maj Toure is one of the few people out there that's actually doing things that are impacting real lives in the real world, which is why I think it's even more of a shame that he got his Twitter account needlessly suspended over a point that he didn't have to tweet that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, I don't think his account should have gotten banned. I absolutely think he should have been forced to take the tweet down because it was promoting violence. I'm sorry, it was. But I don't think he should have gotten his account banned over it. But I think like one of the things that really upsets me about this is like people are just not being smart. Like Maj Toure had an incredible Twitter presence. He was raising so much money from his Twitter account. He was doing a lot of good work. He was inspiring a lot of people. And it's like he threw it all away to tweet that if you have a drag queen story hour in his community, he's going to show up and assault you. It's just like it's one of those things, like just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I really do think people need to get smarter about this. Don't tweet that you're going to enact violence on Twitter. Just don't do it. Because the temporary, high, I guess, that you get from sending that tweet is going to lead to you never being able to send another tweet again from your account. And then how much good could you have done if you had just reined it in or rephrased it or just sent it to drafts for a little while and be like, no, I probably shouldn't be enacting violence on Twitter today. That was dumb. Not good. But Maj Toure kind of doubled down when he tweeted from the Black Guns Matter account. Let's read. This happened. Why? Read the thread and retweet solutionaries. When you threaten to defend children from sexual advances, the pedos rally to silence you. It's their chess move. Well, that's incredibly true, but you also should have been able to predict that that is exactly and totally what was going to happen. The real question is, what's our move on the board? They galvanize swiftly to defend their sick shit. When are we going to defend our ways of life, values honesty about the lengths we are willing to go to promote our values. Well, silly me, but I thought that the values we were promoting were like freedom and liberty, which means the freedom and liberty to disagree. In a society built on liberty, you are inherently going to have to deal with people who you disagree with. That's part of the deal. If you live in a society where everyone agrees on every single thing, then you are not living in a libertarian community because you are living in a fascist authoritarian community, because there is no reality in the world that exists where everyone is going to agree on every single thing in any society. The key is to learn to coexist with people that you disagree with. If they are not hurting you and they are not taking your stuff or breaking your stuff or doing anything with your property, then who effing cares? Allow them to live their lives and allow them to deal with the consequences of living their lives. If a parent screws up their kids by taking them to a drag queen story hour every single weekend, guys, I hate to break this to you, but that falls under parental rights. There has been a big push on the left lately to get rid of parental rights as being bad for kids. But do you know who's doing just as much damage to the argument for parental rights? It's conservatives who are trying to take away parental rights from leftists. If you are allowed to have parental rights for yourself, then parents that you disagree with are also allowed to have parental rights. You don't get to say parental rights for me, but not for thee. If leftists want to enroll their kids in, if leftists want to take the school choice money that you built into your state budget to give parents more options about where to get their kids educated, if leftists want to take that nice chunk of change and create a school where drag queens are teaching every single class, guess what, guys? That is the consequence of living in a free society. You don't have to enroll your child there. And if the kids that the leftists enroll in their drag queen school, if they end up getting screwed up, then guess what? Those are the consequences that those parents and those families are going to have to deal with by building a drag queen school in the first place. Now, again, I'm not suggesting I think it's a good idea to enroll your kids in drag queen school. I do not think it's a good idea to enroll your kids in drag queen school. If I had kids, I would never take them to a drag queen story hour. I would never enroll them in a drag queen school. But freedom means the freedom to disagree. And then you are the ones that have to deal with the consequences of your choices. I do not have to deal with the consequences of parents sending their kids to drag queen school because they're not my kids. It's not my family. And I can come up and get a big I told you so when those kids go off to college and they come back totally indoctrinated into leftist ideology because they've been learning it the entire time. By the way, can we admit that that's actually not that different from what's going on in public schools today anyway, where conservatives send their kids willingly all the effing time? Don't tell me you're all up in arms over a kid going and listening to a story read by a drag queen on a Saturday afternoon when that drag queen is usually fully clothed, when guess what, conservatives, you're still sending your kids to public school all the time to listen to just as worse stories from their effing kindergarten teachers. Y'all have to deal with the consequences of your actions. But living in a free society means that you do not get to decide for other people. Fastani says threats of violence aren't free speech, hence why the word peaceable is in the First Amendment. Well, no, that's not true. Not true. It has to be an imminent threat. An imminent threat. Let's keep going with Maj's thread. Now, some would say it's just a Twitter page. It's not really silencing you. And I get what they mean, but they aren't getting the point. The point is people who want to share sexually explicit things are galvanizing to remove any resistance to their agenda. We're not talking about using the tax dollars to share those things. We're talking about a private event that no one is obligated to attend. Was my tweet aggressive? Yes, we should be aggressive in defense of our babies. Well, your babies. Your babies. Not other people's, bro. But the fact that in less than 24 hours, these people got my account removed speaks to their organized capacity to defend their desires. That's what a good chess player does, weirdo or not. They are this open because they are working while we have been quiet and not galvanizing. Taking one page is easy when you know most of the other men will be silent. We must be organized, vocal, and vigilant in defense of our babies' lifestyle and sane culture. And other places to follow him. I think it's too bad. What a waste. What a waste of a perfectly good Twitter account because we couldn't play smart for like 2 seconds to understand that threatening people with violence because they make life choices that you disagree with is going too far. But that wasn't the only thing that happened. Now, I should note, if you are unfamiliar with the breakup of the New Hampshire Mises Caucus and the purge of the New Hampshire Mises Caucus, I have covered it on one of my Substacks, the Red Pill Diaries. That's redpilldiaries.substack.com. There are several articles on the purge of the New Hampshire Mises Caucus where basically every libertarian in the LPNH and even outside of it, I think, we all got kicked out of the New Hampshire Mises Caucus like unilaterally one night when some of us hadn't even done anything against the Mises Caucus. And what I experienced after trying to help the Mises Caucus and did help them for 2 effing years, what I experienced is that the number 2 in the Mises Caucus contacted my mother to smear me after smearing me to over 100 state organizers when I wasn't even involved in what they were pissed off about anyway. So I have to say, I still am very upset about this because I supported the Mises Caucus for 2 years, spent thousands of dollars out of my own pocket to support the Mises Caucus, and then was spit at in my face by Michael Heiss and Jeff Douglas. And then Jeff Douglas smeared me to every Mises Caucus organizer in the country and lied about me. And then Jeff Douglas reached out and contacted my mother, smearing me. That's not a lie. That's not an exaggeration. I have all the receipts. He literally contacted my mother. God knows how many other people too, but my mother happened to be one of them. And so I was really upset about all of this for a while, but I think I'm over it. Because what I have seen in the Mises Caucus libertarian response to this is that the Mises Caucus are pretty much revealing themselves as being conservatives that are maybe more socially liberal than average conservatives, but they're still conservative authoritarians that are trying to force their will onto other people. Silly me, I thought we got rid of all the woke bullshit in the Libertarian Party when the Mises Caucus took over, but no. No, 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 no. We just have a different kind of woke now, a different kind of authoritarianism now, and that authoritarianism is coming in the form of people being effing obsessed with this drag shit. Now, this is Bonnie Freeman. Bonnie Freeman is married to Ian Freeman, who is one of the Crypto Six. Basically, these are people in New Hampshire who are, going to prison essentially for selling Bitcoin. It's a really big deal. Look it up if you don't know about it. But Bonnie Freeman is a libertarian. She's very socially liberal, but she is a very staunch libertarian. Like there's no doubt about that. And the reason that we're pulling up this tweet is this was actually a reply to Maj's tweet. And so Bonnie said, To Maj saying that he was going to enact violence for anyone holding a drag queen story hour, she said, also, you might not want to go to Porcfest because a ton of us are planning kid-friendly drag shows on our spots. Now, for people who do not understand libertarian culture, this is Bonnie trolling them. Now, she's serious. She is going to do this. But the act of doing it is a troll against all of the conservatives who are trying to restrict free speech for people that they disagree with. It is to provoke a reaction. And I got to tell you, the reaction to Bonnie's tweet has absolutely revealed who are conservatives and who are actual libertarians. Now, for those who don't know, let me get this up in a different window. I want to show you a map of Porcfest. And this is, I think, the most current map that exists in the Porcfest plans group on Facebook. Now, Porcfest is held at a really big campground. You could spend a couple of hours walking around throughout all of Porcfest, okay? Because it's held at a campground. People bring their RVs, people bring their tents. It is a literal pop-up anarchist village. You can do whatever you want. It's 116 acres, Justin says. I'm glad you're here, Justin. Please feel free to correct me or add any context to it that you might want to. Justin is a New Hampshire libertarian. And because it's an anarchist village, there are no police officers, no cops, no law enforcement. Now, they do have something called the Porcfest Rangers, where if someone is engaging in violence or stealing people's stuff, those people will step in. But it's more like private security. It's not, the state, okay? Because it's a pop-up anarchist village. Now, because of that, there are no rules at Porcfest. The only rules are quite literally the non-aggression principle. Don't hurt people, don't take people's stuff. So, because there are no rules, you will have people selling booze just up and down the streets. You will have people selling drugs. You will have people selling weed. You'll have people selling psychedelics. You will have people selling... my first year at Porcfest, I accidentally stumbled into a tent that had a massive buffet of any kind of drug that I could have wanted. You will have people running around naked. There is literally a naked area of Porcfest. So this is going to be my site at Porcfest right here. It's labeled art. This is the Unwoke art site. This is the Body Freedom Village. This is where the naked people have a naked hot tub and they do naked yoga and they have a naked Olympics. There quite literally is a naked Olympics. Last year, I didn't see it. I didn't go. I'm definitely going this year though. Last year, there was a guy who ran the naked Olympics completely naked, wearing nothing except his gun. Justin says that tent is labeled Wicked on the bottom of the map. The Wicked Wonderland vendors. Is that more drugs, Justin? I'm betting that's drugs. So what I'm trying to show you guys here is number one, this is a huge ass campground. Number two, there's a lot of illicit shit that happens at Porcfest, all right? Now, no one is forced to participate in anything. Oh, that's the tent that I stumbled into with the DMT. That's really good to know, Justin. I'm going to be right next to them. It'll be great. So the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I want everyone to really understand. No, there are children at Porcfest. A lot of people bring their children to Porcfest. A lot of people allow their children to wander freely at Porcfest. And there are rarely any problems. Now, the kids have their own area. There is a family-friendly area over here. They specifically try to keep the naked people down in this part of the campground, and the kids are usually up here. But there are absolutely kids that go to Porcfest, a lot of kids. And a lot of those kids learn how to sell stuff to make money. So they're like selling like stickers and like, firewood and stuff like that. There are kids that make a metric F ton of money at Porcfest every single year just selling their wares. They wander up and down on their own. There are free range children running around. Truth. Fast Donnie says, I stand corrected. The Supreme Court ruling on Brandenburg v. Ohio agrees with you regarding imminent friends. Don't I know it? Thank you for admitting that you were wrong, Donnie, and I was right. I do always appreciate that. Justin says, there's also church tents up in the family area that hold daily church services for various denominations. So, if you come to Porcfest, you don't have to go to any of the areas that you don't want to be a part of. And what happens is people rent out these campsites and they set up their own hubs and they can do whatever the F they want at their own hub. So at my Unwoke art hub, I can do whatever the F I want. I can throw parties. I can get high every day at 420. I can have ragers every night if I want. I can sit, because I'm in the body freedom area, I could literally sit there naked. I'm not going to do that. But I could if I wanted to, because that's within the rules. I can do whatever I want at my hub. Okay? No one is required to go to anyone else's hub. No one is required to go to events that people are holding at their hubs. And you can see, because it is a giant effing area, if you want to be on the completely opposite side of the campground for the entire event, not going near the naked area at all, not going near the drugs at all, then you don't have to go near them. So I want to give everyone that context, given what we are about to see. Now, I have to show you some of the reaction to Bonnie's tweets in this browser, because for some reason, Twitter is not letting me log in on my other browser where I have everything else set up. But I want to show you just some of the reactions to Bonnie's tweet about saying that she is going to host a kid-friendly drag show at Porcfest. Because what Bonnie is talking about is setting up her own hub and having her own drag show that no one is obligated to go to. Here are some of the quote tweets to Bonnie's post. As an alphabet person, I can say with some certainty that your child will not burst into a flaming homo just by being in the mere presence of drag. Okay, that's actually a good one. Here we go. Yes, the degenerate caucus of the Libertarian Party, but I repeat myself. Boycott Porcfest, spread the word. So this is a libertarian, someone claiming to be a libertarian, trying to get people to boycott Porcfest because one person has said at their hub they're going to do an event that you don't like. The bullshit will eventually be the end of the Free State Project and LP National. Eventually, you always have to draw the line. Where does the nap, liberty, and freedom end? It has to end somewhere. Well, it's not going to be with a drag show. I promise you that. Justin says, mind you, most Porcfest in the pre-COVID, in past pre-COVID, had drag shows and the big gay dance party at the main event in the pavilion. This is not new. Dennis is the organizer of Porcfest, and he has been called on. People have literally called on Dennis to ban Bonnie from Porcfest entirely. Now, there is no universe in which Bonnie's getting banned from Porcfest. That's not happening at all. That's not a realistic request because Bonnie isn't doing anything wrong. But Dennis has had to respond to this. Let's see, that's supporting Bonnie. This sounds like child groomer stuff. Hashtag pedo. Fucking disgusting. Hey, LPNH and Free State Project, this is not okay. I believe in liberty. No, you don't. but I will not be involved in sexualizing children. Then don't take them to the event. What the fuck is the point of this? Literally using your kids as political tools to brag you brought them into sexual Porcfest or performances. The fuck is wrong with you? You're married to a pedo. This guy claims to be a libertarian. This is threatening to throw her out of a helicopter. A lot of y'all mutuals with this person talking about having kid-friendly drag shows at Porcfest. I agree with her anti-government, anti-tax stance, but kid-friendly drag shows drowns those out. Oh, because a person holding an event at their campsite on a 116-acre campground that you don't have to go to, that's way more important than getting rid of taxes and the state. Are you kidding me? Do you even hear yourselves? The libertarian movement absolutely has to distance itself from people like this. The desire for freedom and to be left alone will never outweigh the need to protect your children from monstrosities like this. We will never win the war if we can't win this battle. For those who don't know, Bonnie is like this really tiny, very nice person when you meet her in real life. She's a really nice person. And so for people to be calling her a monstrosity because she's holding an event that they don't like, that they don't have to go to, that's a conservative right there. That is a conservative. Libertarians have been calling them that for years. Well, then you're not a libertarian. Congratulations. Imagine sharing a political party with these ineffectual kid lovers. Bonnie is not an ineffectual kid lover at all. Rip Porcfest. I have no idea what this idiotic festival is. Well, then you're not really relevant. And it keeps going and going. I regret to inform the Libertarians are at it again. Florida, greater than New Hampshire. Oh, you mean that Florida, where you have a statist governor that's using the power of the state to punish a private company for speech that the governor politically disagrees with? That's what you think is superior to someone holding an event on a campsite that you don't have to go to on a 116-acre campground? Is this actually a thing? If so, I guess I could write off Porcfest forever. It is so beyond retarded that people are saying that they're boycotting Porcfest because one person is having an event that they don't like that hurts their fragile sensibilities. These are all conservatives. All conservatives. This is the kind of libertarian that drives the sane ones into the arms of the right. Thank God for the Mises Caucus. Well, no, because most of the people responding badly to this are in the effing Mises Caucus. Is Porcfest hosted on private property? Yes. If so, whose property is it? If they allow this nonsense, people who value the safety of children should no longer attend and disassociate. They're calling for Bonnie to be canceled from Porcfest, and they think they're the good guys. Yankees are at it again. Cool litmus test. Libertarians deserve to lose for defending this stuff. Toad had one of the more interesting threads. Good luck to the New Hampshire libertarian experiment if you don't gatekeep people like this. Now, Toad lives in Massachusetts. So I'm not sure why Toad believes that he is in the right for basically saying that we need to gatekeep Bonnie out of the Libertarian Party because she's hosting an event that no one has to go to if they don't want to. but we're supposed to gatekeep her out of the movement? That makes absolutely no sense. Justin says Toad is a 37-year-old virgin who's afraid to go outside. Well, I've seen him go outside once or twice because I've seen him cross the line into New Hampshire. But the fact is that Toad still lives in Massachusetts. And so I ain't taking any advice from Toad about who to gatekeep because he lives in Massachusetts. Let's just go into some of the replies on this. This is Joshua Smith, who I actually thought was a libertarian, but apparently I was mistaken. Joshua Smith, who used to be on the LNC before he quit. Cool. Lots of us will not go to Porcfest this year then. Joshua Smith is literally calling for a boycott of Porcfest because he's so much of a pussy that he can't stand to be on a 116-acre campground with one person who's holding an event that he disagrees with and doesn't have to go to. Let's see. This one, Patrick, and I like Patrick. Damn, you're the most autistic, tone-deaf person in this movement. Want to get a ban from Porcfest? Because this is how you get banned from Porcfest. Again, there is no reality in which Bonnie is getting banned from Porcfest for this. There are hardcore drugs at Porcfest. There are people running around naked at Porcfest. There are all sorts of things that people are completely fine with. There are fucking classes at Porcfest to teach you how to grow mushrooms and weed. All right? There is no way in this universe the person that is hosting on their campsite a couple of men wearing a dress, reading a story that no one has to go to, they are not getting banned from Porcfest over this. It's so retarded. I cannot even begin to explain how retarded it is that a group of so-called libertarians are really stating that someone needs to get banned from an event because they can't work themselves to the place where they just don't go to the event. Don't go to the campsite. Go do something else. Go drink some beer. Go smoke a joint. Go to a lecture in the pavilion. There are like 87,000 things that you can do at Porcfest at any given time because it is a huge ass campground that does not involve going to one campsite that is holding an event that you don't like. It is so easy to not go anywhere near it. It is ridiculous. And if Bonnie hadn't announced on Twitter that she was doing this to troll all of them, to piss them off, to make them have this reaction, to make them have a reaction that would show their true colors and show who they really are, then none of them would even effing know it was going on. Yes, Rick, at Porcfest, you can run around naked, high on mushrooms, and not get arrested. Yes, you can. Absolutely. Now, you're going to want to contain your nakedness to the designated naked area because there are rules about not being naked outside of the designated naked area. It's more like an honor system, but they do try to enforce it because a conservative parent got really pissed off last year when Jeff, who is in charge of the naked area, left the naked area wearing nothing but a hay skirt, like a hula skirt. Jeff is the resident nudist in New Hampshire, and he left the naked area wearing a hula skirt that was like this big. And that hula skirt did not leave much to the imagination, I'll tell you that. And a conservative parent who brought their child to Porcfest got really pissed off that their little darling saw Jeff in his hula skirt and raised a whole fucking fuss. And so there are parameters to say, don't be naked outside of the naked area. But yeah, you can run around naked on magic mushrooms if you want to. You absolutely can. Yes. Let me see. I know Justin had a few more comments here. Justin says 2 years ago, there was a guy at Porcfest who made actual inappropriate gestures towards kids, and the owner of the campground dragged him behind a golf cart down the street to the police. It's not as though the community of Porcfest doesn't look out for kids. They do look out for kids. But they happen to think that two men wearing a dress, dressed appropriately at an event at a campsite that no one has to bring their kids to, where everything is voluntary, where only the people who want to be there are actually there, and people who do not want to be there are at another campsite or another event, etc., etc., etc. Like, they don't think that Bonnie is doing anything wrong. And I would tend to agree with them. So stupid. Almost all the witnesses, including one of the pastors, said Jeff did nothing wrong and that person was freaking out, and the person freaking out was overreacting. I mean, honestly, like, I don't really think Jeff did anything wrong. I just know it caused a headache and a kerfuffle for Dennis, who's the organizer of Porcfest, for people who don't know. But, like, listen, if you don't want your kids to be around naked people, don't bring them to Porcfest. Like, you don't have to come, you know? But let's just acknowledge that there's going to be a lot going on at Porcfest that is, quite frankly, far more objectionable to a lot of people than a man in a dress reading a book. That's my point. That is my point. And I'm going to go to the Naked Olympics this year because my tent is going to be, or my setup rather, is going to be over near the naked area, so I might as well. I haven't in past years at Porcfest ventured into the naked area. I've been a little scared of the naked area, if I'm honest. And that tells you something too, because I have been at Porcfest all week for the past 2 years, and I've never been to the naked area. I have never seen, I mean, occasionally I'll see a naked person running around, but like, I've never gone over near their activities. You don't have to. It's a giant effing campground. Just go somewhere else. I don't understand why this is so hard. I really don't. Well, guys, let's move on, and we're going to do our last story. And as a reminder, guys, I do have a community Zoom call at 7 p.m. tonight. So in about 40 minutes, I have a supporter call with members of my community. If you would like to become a member of my community, head over to activelyunwoke.com/support. You can sign up on my Substack. You can sign up on my locals. You can sign up on my Patreon. Come join us for a private, unrecorded community call at 7 p.m. tonight. And we'll be talking about lots of stuff, I'm sure. One final thought from Justin. Jeff the nudist is also has a PhD in chemistry and is incredibly smart and can have wonderful in-depth conversations and discussions on ethics and morality. I love Jeff. I think Jeff is fabulous. I do. I want to talk to Jeff more than I barely even know the guy, but I met him at a couple events. He's always seemed like a really nice guy. He works really hard. Jeff puts together these amazing events. Like, he put together a whole jungle theme Halloween party. He managed the Body Freedom Village last year. He does a really great job. So I'm very pro Jeff. But what I'm not pro is gays against groomers. And the reason that I'm not pro gays against groomers is they treat their volunteers horribly. They really do. And I think it's important for us to talk about this because these are the people who think that they are going to defeat grooming when they can't even run an effective organization. And I do think it's important to acknowledge this because if you are supporting ineffective organizations, then you are inherently inhibiting our ability to win. Jen, thank you for the super chat. Jen says, "Hey, Dr. K, the fallout with GAG, it is a terrible acronym. Reminds me of the fallout of BLM, not in a one for one sense, especially post 2020 and post Mansion Gate. We'll have to wait and see what happens next to GAG and BLM. I agree. But I think we're going to get another update today because I have a surprise. I have to get my sound set up. Now, because I have been reporting on the shenanigans of gays against groomers lately, a little birdie, well, leaked me video of an internal staff meeting that Gays Against Groomers had. Either this was like last night or the other day. I think it might have actually been last night. And I woke up this morning and I had video of Gays Against Groomers' latest staff meeting in which they openly discuss some of the controversy and some of the impact that reporting on all of their shenanigans has had on the organization. Now, it hasn't been just from me. There have been many, many, many people from Gays Against Groomers who have spoken out publicly. The latest is the ex-New York chapter lead. His name is Marky. And I have a previous video from showing what Marky has posted on the channel. There's a clip from just the other day because Marky has been slowly tweeting things out and revealing things about how the organization is really run. And it's even more of a shit show than I thought it was. And just this little wonderful birdie sent me this video of an internal staff meeting, and I just thought we'd take a listen. Do you guys want to listen to the Gays Against Groomers 8 minutes of their staff meeting? Let's give it a listen.
Tonight's all hands meeting. It's the first one I think that is branded as all hands.
Jamie.
We call it all hands because
this right here is Jamie, or Jame Ree, as Bot likes to call her. Jamie is the most professional CEO of Gays Against Groomers. You'll see that Jamie has someone next to her. That's Sasha. Sasha is Jamie's fiance. Sasha is always on the board. Sasha is also on the board of directors of Gays Against Groomers. Sasha is also the treasurer of Gays Against Groomers. Sasha is also the HR manager of Gays Against Groomers. Sasha is also Jamie's executive assistant. So there's no conflict of interest. Just because you have your fiance managing the organization's money and managing the organization's human resources and doing all of Jamie's work for her, and they happen to be getting married, there's definitely no conflict of interest at all. Everything is totally above board.
we want everybody on the team to join, or whoever's available, and the replay will always be available afterwards. Tonight is Sunday, April 30th, and let's get started. I gotta present.
Yesterday, I was wrong. This is not a meeting from 2 days ago. This is a meeting from last night. So what that means, Jamie, because I know you're going to be watching this, what that means is that you currently have members in your organization who are leaking video of your internal staff meetings. This, Jamie, didn't come from Marky. This didn't come from any of the whistleblowers that I've spoken to so far. This came from someone currently in your organization who's so pissed off at your leadership that they are quite literally leaking videos of your internal staff meetings. At least 8 minutes of one. I have to imagine there's more. I didn't ask for this video. This video just showed up like a gift from the universe. I wonder how much more video I'm going to get.
God, I'm so bad at Zoom. Everybody's going to make fun of me.
Oh, actually, Rick has a good question. Do they require you to be gay to be in Gays Against Groomers? Yes, they do. In fact, Mario, who used to be their director of chapters, basically Mario was the guy who was leading activism for the entire organization. Mario just quit like a couple of weeks ago, and in Mario's letter, resignation letter, which I have on my Substack, carlin.substack.com, Mario explicitly states that the reason that he quit Gays Against Groomers is because Gays Against Groomers requires you to be gay for them to work with you, and Mario thinks that's stupid. And yeah, so he quit because of it, but they do require you to be gay. I think you would because you're bi, right? So I think you would actually qualify, Justin.
Share screen. Okay, share screen. There we go. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so let me close that. Tonight's all hands meeting. Okay. So we're going to just go over, for those who haven't seen it yet, this is our new structure of the organization. I will, oh, somebody's just coming in. This is the new organization structure. A lot of it looks exactly the same, but there are some differences. My position is not only president, but I am the chief executive officer for now. There is no executive director. There is me.
There is no executive director in Gays Against Groomers because on the same day that Mario, their former director of chapters, quit, what was his name? Frank, who was their former executive director, also quit. And again, I covered this on my website, carlin.substack.com. Their director of chapters and their executive director quit on the same day a couple weeks ago. And that is why there is currently no executive director in the organization, because the executive director quit and Jamie probably hasn't been able to find anyone else to take that role because no one wants to do it. And so now Jamie has taken on the role of executive director. But you can tweet at whoever you want. I'm not going to say no. Go ahead.
Who has taken on that role. David remains our secretary. Sasha is our treasurer. She's also the HR manager, and she is also my executive assistant, so I can keep my head on straight. I have a horrible memory as it is, and she just helps me stay focused, so she helps with that.
Well, this is an interesting question from Yasmin. What do they do with all that money if they don't pay their staff? I don't know the answer to that, Yasmin. According to Markey, they've raised over $1 million. Now, that may or may not be true. It seems as though Gays Against Groomers might dispute the fact that they've raised over $1 million, but Markey said they raised over $1 million. I don't know where that money is going to, because every single person, don't be fooled, guys. Even though this looks like a workplace organizational chart, no one in this is getting paid. These are all volunteer positions. So I don't know what they're doing with that money. I think that that would be a fascinating thing for a reporter to ask Jamie. Now, I could try, but I don't think Jamie would answer me. But maybe someone else could try.
That. And then we have Jude, our director of communications. Under her is Michael, editor-in-chief, and Meg, who is our associate director of communications. Michael is in charge of the blog and the writing team, and Meg is will be tackling. She'll be focused on content creators, the ambassadors, and also bringing on anybody into the organization that isn't a chapter leader or chapter member.
So a couple fun facts about a couple more people in this organizational chart. You're going to notice Meg here. Meg, the current, I think, associate director of communications for the organization. I have screenshots showing that Meg was going to try, I don't know if she actually did, but she talked about it. She was going to try to get Gays Against Groomers to falsify a letter for her probation officer. Because for some reason, and I don't know why exactly, Meg has some sort of, probation officer that she has to report to and has to do volunteer work in the community. And so she was going to try to get Gays Against Groomers to write her a letter, basically to give her probation officer to say that she was doing the volunteer work that she is legally obligated to do. I have screenshots of this. That's real. So that's real great. And then over here we have Grady. And Grady is a massive conspiracy theorist. And Grady is the person who convinced Jamie to fire their South Carolina chapter lead, because the South Carolina chapter lead went to the Biltmore, which is like a tourist destination. It's like the largest home in America. And you can go tour around the home, and they have a vineyard and it looks very nice. But this one Gays Against Groomers chapter lead went to the Biltmore, which Pizzagate conspiracy theorist Grady told Jamie that the Biltmore is the home of the Pizzagate child murder pool. And because the South Carolina chapter lead took a picture of herself, not only and by the way, she's going to be on the channel tomorrow. Nikki is coming on the channel tomorrow to talk about her experience. That's the chapter lead that got fired. And she took a picture of herself all over the grounds of this mansion, including at the Pizzagate murder pool. And she posted it on Instagram. And because she did this 2 years prior to her being hired as a chapter lead in South Carolina, Grady, and she, by the way, had no idea about this conspiracy theory. She just went to the Biltmore because she thought it was cool and interesting to go to. But Grady convinced Jamie to fire Nikki over the fact that she took a picture 2 years ago at the Pizzagate murder pool. That's real. I've documented all of this on my Substack. It's in the first article I did on Gays Against Groomers.
Chris and Patrick are our new co-director of chapters. You guys know, most of you, I think, know that already. They're killing it. So beneath them are all of the chapter leaders, and then under that are all of the chapter members. We have William Green. He's our director of research. He heads up the research. So to reiterate about Gays Against Groomers, we are mission focused. Our organization has grown to be the largest and most notable in the country fighting to end the war on children.
Their organization is absolutely not the largest and most notable in the country in fighting the war on children. Jamie has to tell herself that in order to feed her own narcissism. Parents Defending Education has been around much longer than Gays Against Groomers, has a much more professionalized operation than Gays Against Groomers, has had much more success than Gays Against Groomers. I still have yet to understand what exactly Gays Against Groomers has actually done to fight grooming. Justin saying Moms for Liberty is way more notable. Well, I don't like Moms for Liberty, Justin, but on this point, you are correct. Moms for Liberty is significantly larger than Gays Against Groomers. Significantly larger. Significantly more professionalized, even though I disagree with what they do. But to say that Gays Against Groomers is more effective than Moms for Liberty and Parents Defending Education is just downright wrong. What has Gays Against Groomers actually done?
With that comes unwanted attention, drama, and rumors. It's important to remember why we are all here and what our goal is. Stay focused. Sorry, admitting somebody. Stay focused on protecting children and do not let those things get to you. It comes with the territory, and the best way to dismantle lies about us is to continue pushing forward and winning. It's really important, you know, as I was saying in the beginning of this meeting, for those that may have missed it and before I started recording, people, we are kind of a big deal at this point. You know, it's hard to kind of comprehend for me that
what Jamie means when she says we're kind of a big deal is Jamie has built up a social media following. That's it. That's all that Jamie really cares about, is a social media following, because they haven't accomplished anything. I've seen them take credit for bills being passed, but they weren't the ones that passed those bills. I've seen them have a viral video here and there, but that doesn't mean they've accomplished anything. So literally all Jamie's talking about is her social media following. That's it.
that Gays Against Groomers has gotten as big as it has. But you know, we have the spotlight on us right now. And with that comes rumors and drama. It's just, you know, some people hate us, some people love us. A lot more people love us. And we have to remember, I mean, we have like over 500,000 followers right now across social media.
See, that's what they care
compared to the
about.
one or two
Social
or three
media.
people you may see, you know, spreading rumors or talking badly.
That's I'm one of those 1 or 2 or 3 people spreading rumors or talking badly, but I actually have receipts. If you go to the Substack, which go to unwoke.info/gays against groomers and it'll lead you right to the article. I have screenshots of Telegram messages from their internal chats. I'm not spreading rumors. I'm showing you the receipts from their internal chats that were leaked to me by their whistleblowers.
About us. It really doesn't matter. Focus on the mission. Focus on your duties, your responsibilities within the organization, and just ignore it. Honestly, it's hard, but it's hard because it feels personal, but it doesn't matter. It really isn't. These people, it says more about people. It says more about them wanting to attack like the most successful and largest organization dedicated to protecting children in the country.
The most successful and largest organization dedicated to protecting children in this country. Gays Against Groomers right now has less than like 20 people involved in it. They are not the largest and most successful organization protecting children in this country. As we've already established, Parents Defending Ed is far more professionalized, far more successful, has far more to show for itself. Even Moms for Liberty, who I generally loathe, is far larger, has far more successes, actually has tangible results that they can point to. Like, Gays Against Groomers is nowhere close to the largest and most successful organization defending children in this country. That is a fantasy that Jamie has created in her head in order to feed her narcissism.
So just, stay above it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Just one little thing about that. So it did come up in our meeting about officially on like say maybe the main Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, making an official statement about that. So I think I see where you're going with this, and maybe it is better to not do the Barbra Streisand effect,
yes,
and draw attention to these people. So yeah, I just for everyone that was in that meeting, I that had Gays Against Groomers making an official response. I think this is the answer.
Yeah,
Just
we're not going to do that because, like, honestly, as I was saying, we have like 500,000 followers, and if 5 people want to chit chat and spread rumors, I'm not gonna, like, we're above that. We're just not. It's beneath us, and it's going to continue to happen. These people that talk about us want our attention. They are dying for a response to keep this going. They need oxygen. So
I want to remind everyone that after my initial article about Gays Against Groomers, even before the initial article came out, when I contacted Jamie for comment, when I hadn't even released the initial article yet, it wasn't even out yet. She had no idea what I was going to write. Jamie then proceeded to go on a 3-day Twitter bender all about me. All about how I was wrong, I'm a horrible person, I'm a pedophile, I'm a groomer, I'm this, I'm that other thing. I don't care about protecting kids at all. She spread multiple smear campaigns about me that have no basis in reality. And now Jamie is pretending that she's just above drama. I documented Jamie's Twitter fucking meltdown over the course of several days. It's all on my Substack. You can go and read it.
So we will not be doing that. And I would really, really strongly encourage nobody that has anything to do with GAG responds or debates at all. Like, literally just leave it alone. Keep scrolling. Jude or Matt?
Yeah, sorry, that was me. One of the other question in the meeting related to this is members who are applying are expressing hesitation over the drama because they can see it and because they're looking for it, because they're interested in GAG. What do we tell them?
I would just reiterate this, the same thing here, that we are very large and people have a problem with us for whatever reason. Some people violate code of conduct and unfortunately have to be removed from the organization. People will continue to come in. Some may leave. Some will have to be.
It seems as though almost like, a couple dozen people have violated Jamie's code of conduct, which, by the way, is arbitrarily enforced based on who Jamie likes and who Jamie doesn't like. And so you can violate the code of conduct, but as long as you're in Jamie's good graces, you can violate the code of conduct all you want, and it means nothing. But if you're actually pushing back on Jamie and saying, Jamie, why aren't we running a more professional organization? You will be out as quickly as you can say gays against groomers. And I also heard, and I shared this the other day, but just in case you hadn't heard, I also did hear from a little birdie who was definitely not Marky that after my reporting, Gays Against Groomers updated their code of conduct policy to say that if you share information with anyone about what's going on at Gays Against Groomers, either while you're at the organization or after you leave the organization, they will sue you. Jamie is now, because of, I think, my reporting, threatening to sue anyone who tells people what's actually going on at Gays Against Groomers. Definitely, don't they sound like just liberty-oriented individuals who care about freedom of expression?
Removed, but overall, we are, I think our work speaks for itself, but I would just let them know that, these are disgruntled former people that are seeking retaliation and lying, spreading lies with no evidence.
Jamie claims there's no evidence, but I have quite literally pages and pages and pages of screenshots from their internal Telegram groups that back up, quite literally, everything that I have said about Gays Against Groomers. So there is evidence. Jamie doesn't like that there's evidence, but there is absolutely evidence. And Jamie has never denied that those screenshots are real, because they are obviously real and obviously articulate what's going on. Justin says these women just sound like intolerable lesbians. Ain't that the truth, Justin? Yes, well, Jamie is saying all of this, that there's no evidence and there's no receipts. It seems, Jamie, as though someone internally is leaking your private meetings. Magic.
To kind of tear us down, and that it's really sad that some people would rather, instead of just bowing out gracefully and moving on with their lives, that they want to try and destroy our organization, which is doing so much good for children and for our community. So, it's
Jamie again is asserting that the organization does so much good, but I don't know what Gays Against Groomers has actually done. Again, I would invite anyone from Gays Against Groomers to leave a comment on this video and let us know what you've actually done. You yourselves, not someone else, not a state lawmaker when a bill gets passed, because you didn't do that. The legislators did. So what has Gays Against Groomers actually accomplished? Heidi, not all lesbians are intolerable. We love you. You're a good lesbian. But you have to admit that some lesbians are intolerable, Heidi. You have to. It's the truth. All right, let's wrap this up.
If people don't want to join because of that, it's unfortunate. But yeah, we won't be making a statement on it.
And that's fair. I just want everyone to understand like where we're at and how we explain that to people who have any concerns. And if they can't handle it, then they can't handle it. That they know right off the bat, like, oh, hey, there might be some drama while I'm in the organization. I wouldn't want that. And then, then it's for the best.
We try. I have been trying since day one to keep GAG drama free. People that have been here for a long time, they understand like this.
Jamie has been desperately trying not to engage in drama when she went on a 3-day fucking Twitter bender smearing me. That must have been the dozens, literally dozens. And again, I have this all documented on my Substack. The literal dozens and dozens and dozens of tweets that Jamie sent about me over a 3-day period. And you're telling me that Jamie doesn't want to engage in drama? Okay. All right. Sure. Okay, Jamie. Yeah.
battle for me trying to keep, drama out of it. And I don't know why it just, I don't know, guys. I think it's something to do with gay people. I'm not sure. I'm not talking down on gay people. As you know, I'm gay myself, but I don't know. Like people love drama and they love to talk.
We are a dramatic kind of people. That's for sure.
Demographic.
We can be.
are. And I think that people just have their feelings really, they're putting their ego, their personal pride, their feelings over children. And
which is
sad.
ridiculous.
That's sad to me. It's disappointing, but not everybody has the best intentions, I guess.
And that, folks, is the culmination of the video that I got regarding gays against groomers. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jamie was experiencing a little ironclad law of woke projection on that last part when she was talking about how she just doesn't want to engage in drama. It's everyone else. No. So maybe my mysterious benefactor will provide more video. Maybe not. But I just wanted to share with you guys a little insight into the inner workings of Gays Against Groomers. And I also wanted to let Jamie know that I had the video and that it was not sent to me by Marky. It was not sent to me by any of the whistleblowers. It was sent to me by someone who is currently with Gays Against Groomers who had access to the video last night. And I just want Jamie to kind of sit with that information and think about it and think about what it means for how her current members feel about her, that they are leaking your internal meetings. Because guess what, guys? That doesn't happen at a functional organization. It just doesn't. So that's all I have today. Uneventful day, to say the least. Guys, I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for The Cult. We stream live at 5 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Saturdays, we do Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. I hope you guys will mount that like button on your way out the door. I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. And who knows what we have in store tomorrow. All right, guys, that's it for today. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.